Nathan Sandberg here, reporting to you from my Fortress of Solitude, which is OnGrade Studio in Portland, Oregon. Things have changed rather abruptly here. I can't go out and teach. People can't come to me to take classes. So I thought I would use this time to kind of sharpen or transition my photography skills into some video skills. As many of you know, I've made a bunch of videos with Bullseye over the past decade, and through AAE, I have 4 videos available at this point. I've even made one out of the studio here in the past that I presented at the 2011 GAS conference, I think. So I've got a lot of skills, and I've got actually a lot of equipment. And since I don't see either of us go anywhere for the foreseeable future, I thought this would be a way I could reach out to some students and keep teaching. I like teaching. I think people are probably going a little stir crazy at home. A lot of us have kilns, a lot of us have glass, and I have some ideas that you may be interested in. So I see this being the way we communicate for the foreseeable future. And I thought I would take the opportunity to reach out and introduce you to a couple new products that are the result of some projects that I've been working on for the past year or so. One of them is Dope, or Dropout Paste, and it's a mixture of dry materials that once you add water to it, makes a paste that you can apply to the surface of a dropout ring, which will absolutely help hold your glass in place. I've had enough of the slide over the years. Many of you probably know what I'm talking about. Every once in a while, for whatever reason, the glass blank likes to slide inwards and occasionally falls through the mold. So I've had enough of it, and I've developed this product. I'm happy to share it with you and tell you about it. And also, at the same time, I'm going to take the opportunity to introduce you to another new product, which is the Flatop Dropout Rings, something I've used for a number of years in my studio and a class or two, but I've got a couple new shapes and designs that are now available on the website. So why don't you grab some pen and paper, grab yourself a beverage, get comfortable, and we'll talk this through over the next couple minutes. All right, like I said, I want to take some time here and introduce you to the Dope as well as Flatop Dropout Rings, tell you why I use them, where they came from, how to use them, and hopefully get you excited to go out and make some dropouts in your free time. The nice thing about this message is that I actually have a kiln behind me that's ready to be unloaded with a dropout vessel. And I'm actually seeing this pretty much for the first time. I glanced at it a second or two ago. But so far, I really like what I'm seeing here. Of course, you know I'm dying to get it outside and remove the rim here and actually have a vessel left behind. But the patterning that we got looks pretty nice. The shape definitely looks pretty good. That said, we're not really here to talk about the glass. I actually want to talk about the ring that it came off of. And if you get closer, you can actually see that there's quite a bit of texture on this ring, which is very different from the commercial rings that we're used to. We were all taught to get your shelf primer, apply it to the ceramic dropout rings. That'll keep your glass from sticking. That's a great thing. But what I've realized over the years is it's also a very slippery surface to be firing on. And add to that these rings are generally sloped, with this point being a little bit higher than this point here. Add to that a slippery surface and, well, it's a slippery slope. And one too many times I've run into something like this, where the glass has actually fallen all the way through as the outside edge of the glass creeps in towards the inside edge. Certain situations, the wrong situations, the wrong viscosity of glass, the wrong temperature, too much slipperiness, a little bit of a slope, add it all up, and it's not a great thing as far as I'm concerned. So I've made the dropout paste. Mix it up with water, paint it on. By the way, that's all demonstrated in a video on my website. Paint it on, and immediately it's ready to go into the kiln. You don't have to dry it. And as you can see, it definitely has a nice bit of grit texture to that surface. And that goes a long way to holding things in place. I can honestly say, since switching to the dope, I have not had any dropout rings fall through. All right, so that's pretty good. And it really comes in handy when you get larger diameter dropouts, all right? This guy here happens to be a 13¼ inch outside, which makes it a 9½ inch inside. So that's 9½ inches of unsupported glass. If that moves too quickly, the glass can fall through, all right? If there's nothing holding it down, even more problems. So larger diameter dropouts, the dope really comes in handy. I've got a 20-inch ring with a 14-inch opening. Absolutely, I'm never doing that dropout again without dope, okay? And whether it's a mold that I've made or it's a commercially available mold, at this point, we're applying it everywhere. And the nice thing is that if you apply it well and right, thin, you can get 3 to 4 firings out of that one application of dope. So it's not like a one-time use thing. It's not quite as long-term like the primer is, or as we've been told to believe the primer is. So consider giving it a try. While I've got you here, I'd like to talk about dropout rings and dope, okay? These two rings actually have the same outside diameter. There's a pretty big difference, though, and that's the width of the ring, all right? Here, we've got 2¼ inches, 2¾ inches, pardon me. Here, we've only got just under 2 inches worth of width here. I understand this width to be necessary to support enough glass that weighs enough to actually, hopefully, hold everything in place during the firing. That weight is important, all right? Well, with the dope working in your favor, you actually do not need that width, all right? So that's why this is a little under 2 inches, and the outside diameter hasn't changed at all. So really quickly there, we've now gotten to a point where using the dope, we can have a narrower ring, and that means without increasing the size of the mold, we can actually increase the size of the piece that we make. Okay, so that's really nice. And if you think it through, that also means you can make a larger vessel without making a larger mold. And if you don't need a larger mold, you don't need a larger kiln either. So that's really nice too. Here's another example. So here we've got 13¼ but we're only making a 7½ inch vessel out of this mold right here, whereas over here we can make a 9½ inch. I got another one here, another example, commercially available dropout ring, flat top dropout ring from OnGrade Studio, very close to the same outside dimension, but you can see how much larger the vessel is that we can create with the flat, unsloped surface to the mold, the dope, and the fact that it's held in place by the dope. And we, again, can make a larger vessel without having to make a larger mold. Really nice thing in my book, all right? Another nice thing about the flat top dropout rings are that they're practically indestructible. I'm not guaranteeing anything, because if you drop it on the floor, it's still going to break. But it is not going to chip. The edges are not going to crumble. I even have a ceramic mold that looks like this from behind, and I don't know what's going on there. Over the years, it's actually just started to fall apart. Not going to happen here, all right? As long as you treat it well, it's going to last for quite some time. So, that said, that's my introduction to Dropout Paste and Flattop Dropout Rings. I sincerely do see this being the way we communicate or educate with regards to kiln-formed glass moving forward. So I hope to see you here again sometime in the near future. We're all in this together now. Please help each other out. Be nice to your neighbors. Troubling times for sure. But I'll see you right back here again at OnGrade Studio at some point in the near future.